Well, Ford is now in the news with their transmission issues. We're going to talk about the 10-speed and the 6-speed. We had General Motors transmission problems, we've had Toyota problems, but this is actually a pretty big deal. One investigation on the 6-speed, and then the 10-speed's having a lot of issues. We'll go through both of them. Let's start out with the 6-speed. I actually first saw this on automotivedive.com. Sudden downshifts spur NHTSA probe over 1 million Ford F-150s. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration launched a preliminary evaluation on March 21st of nearly 1.3 million 2015 through 2017 Ford F-150s equipped with the 6-speed transmission. Sounds a lot like General Motors issues they just had with the 10-speed. Now, this affects a lot of F-150s. And a lot of folks thought that the 6-speed was kind of safer than the 10-speed, but it looks like this could be valve body or programming issues, kind of like General Motors. By the way, if you find this information useful, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe. I know it's a silly thing to ask, but it kind of motivates me to continue to make these videos. It says unexpected transmission downshift without warning or driver input, often accompanied by a temporary rear wheel lockup. Goes on to say in the summary, 138 consumer complaints, unrequested transmission downshift to a lower gear while traveling at highway speeds. So you could be, pushing along at 75 and it decides to grab second gear or whatever. That was the issue with the General Motors rear wheel lockups, which is crazy to me. When you look at the 2015, which is the 6-speed, the F-150, man, there are a ton of complaints in here. There's 2,000 complaints overall. Now, that has something to do with the fact that Ford sells a lot of trucks, but there are hard downshifts, not shifting properly, slipping, transmission leaking fluid, auxiliary transmission pump failed, reverse not working, transmission failure, clunks under load and four-wheel drive. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So it's definitely beyond just this rear wheel lockup investigation. It'll be interesting to see if these valve bodies start having problems as well. Now let's move on and talk about the 10-speed issues. And here's some recent problems just from the Facebook group. This is just an hour ago. It is March 28th, 2025. 3.5-liter 10-speed transmission was shifting hard. 4th, 5th, and 6th downshift and upshift took it in, and they had to rebuild the transmission. This is what they've done at 60,000 miles. Thankfully, he has an extended warranty. Anyone else have this issue? And this one is a CDF cylinder failure, so they have to replace the parts. And, this is going to cost you a lot of money if you don't have an extended warranty. I know a lot of folks on my channel have been saying, hey, I got the Ford transmission problems. Why don't you talk about those? So here we go. There's a 2.7 in the comments. He just got a remanufactured, put in at 70,000. Next guy says this should have been a recall. Yeah, it definitely should have been. Another guy down there, Blake, 61,000 miles, going to the shop now for a rebuild, CDF drum. Some people wonder why I make these videos. It's because of this. Here's Chandler Dawson. He says he wants a little lively debate. He's got a 2013 F-150 with the 6-speed and the 5.0. Currently has 250,000 miles. So he's given an example here of how the transmission is doing beautifully. Shift's great, not a hiccup. So I think that's where the frustration comes from me, other people out there, is that, hey, we used to have things that worked, even 6-speeds, that worked just fine. The majority of them didn't have problems, whether it was Toyota or whatever. And now it just seems like the whole lot of new vehicles is struggling to build anything reliable for people or anything that lasts past 100, 150,000 miles without trouble. For what these vehicles cost, there is no way in hell you're ever going to convince me that anyone should have to put a remand or a fix their transmission at 70,000 miles. You're never going to convince me of that. I'll die on that hill. Here's another one in March from Brian. Transmission was toast. Got it back from the shop yesterday. Had to put a remand in it. 2,500 is not bad, but probably just a CDF drum thing again. He said it's shifting fine now. Here's another one coming in from Haley. Question, just had a new transmission put in my truck. It's been kind of iffy since I got it fixed about a month ago. It has a warranty on it. Interesting. I mean, you see these trucks and they look almost, they look brand new to me. I drive an old vehicle, but gosh, I just can't imagine these things needing new transmissions that early in life. She says, I spent a pretty penny fixing it. By the way, I'm just a girl looking for some answers. It's just sad that this is happening to people. There's another one with the 5-liter 2019 5.0 in the shop. Client lost about 5 to 6 quarts of transmission fluid through the vent, experienced 10th gear lockout and gear searching. So again, You can repair or replace the transmission, but geez, pricey. There's another one on March 7th from Julio. So I went to the dealership for the notorious transmission issues on the 10-speed. He's got a 2021, 42,000 miles. Luckily, the service guy told him that he'll put in an order for a new transmission, made it pretty easy on him, and gave him a loaner. Oh gosh, and this poor guy, Jared, he says, well, 5 weeks into my rebuilt transmission, and it just went out on me today. Good Lord, he had cam phasers, a full motor rebuild. Jeez. Terrible. Here's another one. Update on my everlasting transmission issues I've been having since I bought it new, my 2022 Tremor. Last week, it would only engage from a dead stop on 4th gear with 1,000-pound cargo trailer containing 600-pound sled. Brought it to the dealer, was just informed that it needs a brand new transmission. The 10-speed transmission has been nothing but a piece of crap since day one. And I'm not kidding you, there are literally hundreds and hundreds in this Facebook group of people having transmission issues with mostly the 2017s through 2023s, but they do vary. I mean, there are some 6-speeds with older 6-speeds with issues, and then there are some newer ones with problems as well. So the problem doesn't seem to really be getting that much better. It's a little better past 2023, but they're so new that you see the mileage on these. A lot of the time you get up into that 60, 80, 100,000 mile range, and that's where you start to see these problems. And here's a dude with a 2024. He said it shifted into neutral going 40 miles an hour, and then when it got down to 5 miles an hour, it shifted into park. He said the thing feels like a death trap, which who knows if this will crop up in the newest versions. It does seem like GM's still having problems with their transmission. Next Gen Drivetrain just did a review, a breakdown of the internals of what they updated, and they said they changed the metals and some of the valving, but they actually didn't fix some of the other issues. So I foresee this problem continuing in Ford and General Motors, just a hunch. Now, most of you know the CDF drum issue. That came in from about 2017 to 2023. They claim that I think it was August of 2022, they started fixing the drum issues in these 10-speeds. So if you're looking on the used market, I would probably avoid one of the F-150s from 17 to like 23. It's just probably not worth the hassle. These transmissions are super expensive to fix. And I thought it would be fun to just really quickly compare the Ford to the GM 10-speed. So specifically with General Motors problems with the rear wheel lockup in the 10-speed, this is a Next Gen Drivetrain, and they have this in their blog for the GM problems. They say, also, we discovered that Ford's 10-speed, this transmission's fraternal twin, did not have this problem. That means the problem is logically caused by something in the General Motors variant that the Ford variant does not have. And they basically go on to say that the first gen valve body for GM was very similar to the Ford's, almost identical, and they didn't have the problem. So if I was going to say which one's better or which one might have a projected better reliability long-term, like past 100,000 miles, I might have to give the nod to the Ford in this case slightly. And in the 17s, you did see stuff like this, shifting hard, transmission lag, the transmission burning out. There's been a ton of YouTube videos done on this already. Going back to that 6-speed issue with the sudden downshifts where your rear wheels could lock up, if I owned one of these vehicles, I would probably take it in and see if there's anything they can do. I would check the transmission fluid as well. Seems like when your transmission fluid is looking burnt, that seems to be a common denominator as well when they start having problems. So some of these are at like 40, 60,000, even lower mileage when the transmission fluid just looks like it's scorched. So I would recommend doing your fluid every 30 to 60. Just do a drain and fill every 30 would be the easiest, where you're only swapping like 3.5 quarts roughly, and just cycling new fluid in there constantly, I think is really healthy for these transmissions. It's just people wait. These engines are pushing a ton of torque. You have 500 foot-pounds of torque, and everybody expects them to just last forever. That's another problem too, is just there's lack of maintenance on some parts of this, and then there's just bad engineering on the other parts, or maybe not bad engineering, but Ford saying, well, we're gonna make this just good enough to get through warranty, maybe 100, 150,000 miles. If people have problems after that, at least it's not on them. GM's doing the same thing. They could build these things to last 200,000-300,000, no problem. They're trying to cut corners and save money. Let me know what you guys think. If you've got a Ford, put it down in the comments. Let me know if you've had a problem. I'd love to hear if anybody's had a problem with the 24 and newer. I've found some in the Facebook groups, but they're so new and generally have low enough mileage that you're not going to see as many problems yet, but they're going to start cropping up. Thanks for watching. Till next time.